All right, let's take a look at LCS. I actually haven't read the statement officially. I just saw the news the first thing that I woke up. I've been waiting to read this. So it's LCS 2024 update from John Needham. All right, here we go. Posted 5 hours ago now. I'm a little bit late to the party, but let's read what they have to say. Last week, we spoke with all LCS partner teams to convey our commitment to the LoL esports ecosystem in NA and share our plans to reshape the league. In 2024, the LCS will be an 8-team league as we made the mutual decision with Golden Guardians and Evil Geniuses to exit them from the LCS. This change will allow us to be much more flexible as we prepare to restructure the league for future success. We made this change prior to free agency that begins today to allow impacted players the ability to pursue opportunities with other teams or leagues. A big thanks to Golden Guardians and Evil Geniuses, two teams who have provided many memorable moments for LCS fans. While we can't discuss additional details at this time, we'll do so as soon and as often as possible. We're very eager to outline the full long-term global strategy for LCS and LoL esports in early 2024. This is by John Needham, President Esports at Riot Games. Okay, few things that come to mind immediately is this is actually a great thing for LCS. And the only thing that I would kind of have wished happen is two things. I wish this would have happened way sooner. 8-team LCS and downsizing from 10 is something that I think a lot of people have wanted for several years. And LCS has felt kind of like pointless to watch some of the bottom teams, and there really isn't enough. There's a few things happening. There's not enough talent to fill the spots. I guess if you think about, for example, LCK, right? There is a lot of fucking good players in Korea. So many good players, in fact, that it is so competitive to even make it as a pro in LCK. So fucking competitive, and yet the top players are still being poached everywhere in the world. They are actually losing a lot of their top players like Ruler, Kanavi, the Shy. They're losing them to LPL, Rookie, like the Join B. It just goes on and on. So many of their amazing players get taken to other regions, get taken. Berserker gets taken to LCS, and yet there is like still such a massive supply, and that makes LCK so competitive because a lot of great players, not a lot of spots, right? It's like an abundance of supply, and that is just, just making it so competitive for the top players to actually make it. Okay, so then you take the complete opposite approach to LCS, right? We don't have that many good players, and a lot of times when you construct a roster, you are really running yourself thin because you need to fill. Well, all 10 teams need to field a roster. Like, that's obvious. And when you do that, you only have 2 import slots, and 3 players have to be either like grandfathered in, counted as domestic players, or actually American players. And there just really isn't that many high-level talents that we have. And, people will always go back to saying, oh, look at JoJo and Danny. And yeah, fucking JoJo and Danny are insane. Look at Blabber, insane, right? But like, there's a lot of JoJos and Dannys and Blabbers. That's not the point. That's not the point. I'm making a horrible point because we're not trying to compare ourselves to LCK. I really just want LCS to. This is a great change for LCS. This is a great change for LCS. Each match is going to be more important. The remaining teams are going to be more invested. We don't want people dragging their feet in the league, right? Like these guys who wanted to leave, it's great that we let them leave because they're losing money, they're losing motivation to spend, they're losing the drive to be competitive in the region. They just want out. Letting them leave benefits everyone. There's less spots, so those spots are more valuable. There's less pro player slots, so that the average level of each pro player, it's kind of like we're slashing out the bottom 10 pro players, because those guys were not very good. And so the competition for the remaining spots is going to be way higher, which is going to increase the average play of each team. Anyways, as a viewer, you should be so happy about this. As a competitor, it could be mixed, right? Because there's less jobs. There's less jobs. There's now, going from 50 spots to 40. And that could suck for a lot of people. That could really suck. Especially, I think Riot could have maybe done a better job making this announcement and getting to this point immediately after Summer Split was over. They did address, we did this prior to free agency, but I think everyone who's like playing, thank you, Leena. Everyone who's playing knows that the offseason really started a few weeks ago. And, whether or not that is what Riot intended with their rules, yeah, it's not. I'm just going to say it. It's not what Riot intended with their rules. What Riot wanted is they wanted the free agency period to be the time where people are negotiating. But pro players and teams have bent the rules for years, and they always will, and it's not something that can really be stopped. But I really wish that they had done this sooner, because I think a lot of players are not going to have jobs, and that's going to suck maybe, because, let's say, for example, you're a fan of a certain pro player and you're like wondering where they were going to go, and now these jobs got axed, these spots no longer exist, and every other team committed. Well, your favorite player might not be in LCS next year or next split. But I do think and that is really shitty. I don't want to understate how shitty that is, but this is such a good thing for LCS. I don't think the viewers are interested in watching the bottom teams who are spending absolutely nothing and just kind of scraping by, play against the top teams and get shit on, or play against each other and the game just be very low quality. Travis' interview with John explains more. I think I will. They're all millionaires. Who cares? Yeah, that's a very interesting take. You think that the average pro player is a millionaire? Boy, do I have news for you. Yeah, I think the average pro player wishes they're a millionaire. Short-term contracts? Not really. I don't think it'll change too much. If anything, with the economy right now, people are... Yeah, it's pretty much just going to be the same. Evil Geniuses and Golden Guardians finished well, yes, but they don't want to be in the league. It's not about like erase your like preconceptions over like whether or not these teams spend big or their placements. It doesn't matter. Like it's about the number of players. It could have been those 5 players could have played under any team and gotten that. It doesn't matter what the name of the team is. What matters is that there are enough competitive teams in the league to make good rosters. There's enough players that you can kind of like fucking play Moneyball with and construct rosters that are good and that can perform well. Yeah, and I think, I don't know, like my kind of read on EG is that they're trying to get the fuck out of just like maybe esports in general, or maybe it's just League. You think players will earn more, or in theory they should? I mean, the economy is really shit, so I think pro players are earning way less this year than they ever have in the last like 6 years. Does it reduce motivation for young guys to try to break into the league? Why try if you're probably not going to make it? Wow. You've never made it. You've never been competitive at anything. That's for sure. With that mindset, it makes it yes, there's less of a chance that you make it, but by making it, you are more accomplished and part of a more elite group. There's literally no point in doing anything if your mindset is like, well, my chances of making it in this have slightly decreased. And they haven't even decreased significantly. I think going from 50 to 40 is not really that insane. Also, I'm just like zooming out a little bit. Isn't LCS just an entertainment product, guys? I feel like LCS and any sport, any competitive anything doesn't exist without the fans being interested in buying in and tuning in, because more viewers means more ad revenue, more fucking eyeballs, which turns into sponsorships. You don't get sponsorships without having viewership. Everything, like, and making the product a little bit more, I mean, definitely more enjoyable to watch it should be LCS's number one priority. More 6 or 7 man rosters. I've always been a little bit mixed on 6 or 7 man rosters in League. They've very rarely worked out, and I think back in the day with Korea, they did the whole like sister team where an org would have like 2 teams and they would kind of like scrim each other, share strats, and occasionally do like roster swaps and stuff and play dodgeball like that. I think a lot of that stuff has been abandoned, and I feel like it obviously has some benefits and it has some drawbacks as well. That it's like a lot to go into. Let's be honest, League is dying. Interesting take. Maybe if you live in like Kansas, League's dying. But if you live pretty much anywhere else in the world, League is definitely still the number one game. Actually, I really never understood that take. League is doing great. I mean, yeah, in America, it's dying. Or I don't even really understand like what that means exactly. Because like I've said like LCS is dying, and I got like fucking flamed the shit out of for saying that. But yeah, like the player base went down. But it's kind of like when people say like WoW has been dying for like 15 years. It's still the best MMO. Like League is still like the number one game. This Worlds had the best. Does anyone have the fucking thing where it showed Worlds viewership record? Let's see. LOL Worlds viewership record. Here it is. Worlds 2023 breaks new absolute record for concurrent viewership. Worlds set an absolute record for one-time audience. On live streaming platforms among tournaments, attracted 5.9 million concurrent viewers, 400K more than the former record holder. And apparently the industry record was set by Free Fire World Series. Wow, really? I'm surprised. What the fuck? Do you guys even know anyone who plays Free Fire? This is actually unbelievable stuff. People still think League is dying. Like, I actually wish America embodied the entire world, but we don't. Can we watch a video while I eat my lunch? Let's see here. Oh, gameplay spotlight. Wait, I want to react to this, though. I don't want to watch this right now, because I want to react to it. Oh, here we go.
Well, we are here at the World Finals.
Here we go.
Today in Korea with the stage behind us. I'm joined right now by John to talk about some unusual information, some unfortunate information for what is occurring here.
Unfortunate information. Okay, guys, let me try to play devil's advocate here. Other than I know there is one thing that is absolutely bad, which is there's 10 less player jobs, and there's a shit ton more staff jobs than that got sort of let go. Essentially, those jobs no longer exist. They've gotten released. So, other than the losing of jobs, which is fucking horrible and very stressful for those people, how is this a negative? Like, I want to kind of like understand the other perspective. How could LCS going from 10 teams to 8, the league being very uncompetitive at the bottom end, be a negative? Let's hear it. Less choice of fans to root for. Yeah, there is a little bit less. There's 2 less teams that you can cheer for. That's true. Getting smaller is always a negative. No, that's definitely not truth whatsoever. Less opportunities for small time teams to play on the bigger stage. Small time teams. Well, you need to pay 10 million just to get into the league, just to get into LCS. I don't think any small time teams are getting into LCS ever. It does kind of show weakness. That's true. It does in this moment. It feels like LCS was bloated, and so for now, I agree with that. It does kind of show LCS weakness in a way. Like I understand what that. I understand what you're saying with that. Like they're doing the right thing, but it definitely shows like, oh, something was wrong in the past.
Strange to talk about this on the finals day.
Yeah, I don't know, guys. I think this is for sure the right direction.
But as everything's breaking and everything's hitting, we're gonna talk about this and release it as news breaks. But John,
guys, you don't fucking care about new players. Just stop talking about that. Do you actually do you want? Wait, let me just fucking. This is gonna be so fucking mean to some people. But like, did you guys tune in to Kenvy's games and his debut? Tons of players these new players come in and they get shit on and they get recycled, or not recycled, they get discarded basically all the time. And when somebody's playing bad, basically Reddit just jumps down their throat and says, this guy is fucking dog shit. Bench him immediately. So I just like don't understand why people are so obsessed with with this idea that like we just need to put as many new and American-born players as possible into LCS. That mentality is only going to drag down the level of LCS. You know what people want to fucking watch when they tune into LCS? Of course they want to see JoJo play because he's good and he's American. But they also want to see Berserker play because he's fucking good. And it ends there because he's fucking good. And it's fun to watch somebody who plays well. Sorry, he's Canadian. I mean NA. You know what I mean, though? You want to watch good play. And if it happens to be that an American player is behind that good play, you're happy to. Good job. I don't want to name it off, but I could name off 10, 20, 30 fucking players in the last 5 years where you guys could not have given less of a shit about watching those guys play because they're just bad. In fact, half the time, I bet you're just flaming the fuck out of them and questioning why the org even gave this guy a chance, who is playing in the 0.001%, who is easily hitting Challenger every single year, cruising, shitting on 99.99% of players in solo queue, and they make it to the big stage finally, and the gap between them and the top players is still extremely big. That's just how it is always going to be and how it always goes. And I don't get it. Like, I don't get why there's such a huge obsession with like giving. Okay, I think if you're really good, you should be given a chance. I'll give you like Buzio, very talented guy. I'm very glad he got a chance, right? And it still will happen. Buzios will still be given a chance. to play, and they will still be given a chance to try out on a roster, and they will get noticed for their skills, and they will still make it in an 8-team league. Almost nothing changed from the 10-team league. And yeah, I feel fucking bad that I name dropped Kenvi. But Kenvi, if you're watching this, it's nothing to do with just one guy or you or anything. There's dozens and dozens of examples of people who just come in LCS, they don't have the greatest debut from solo queue, and they get fucking destroyed publicly. I couldn't ever open an Immortals thread on Reddit without somebody just shitting down Kenvi's mouth.
John, can you talk a little bit about what is happening? Because obviously there's been some news out there about 2 teams potentially leaving the league.
Yeah, so yesterday we terminated our TPA agreement with 2 teams, Golden Guardians and Evil Geniuses, and settled with them. So they will not be competing in the LCS next year.
All right, and we should say yesterday as we're filming this.
Yes.
Yes, okay. So why did this end up happening?
Yeah, so basically, Golden Guardians, their owner, the Golden State Warriors, they've decided they want to focus their business on basketball, and they wanted to exit. And I think Evil Geniuses' struggles is pretty well documented in the public already. So yeah, we hustled over the last 2 weeks to terminate our TPA with them, so that hopefully the players on those teams would find other homes in free agency.
So I think a lot of people are going to hear that and sort of, I don't know, be a little skeptical that something like that can happen given the way free agency works, so many verbal commitments. Obviously, this is well covered by many different journalists and out there.
Thank you, Travis. Thank you. This fucks over the people who... This just kind of fucks over a shit ton of people. And I'm glad that Travis didn't... Like, he's spitting facts. It's hardball.
In terms of what players are going where. In some ways, as this news hits, a lot of free agency is already solved. So, you know, was there any chance of getting this news out earlier? Or how
No.
did... Yeah, what was the timeline like?
We became aware of some issues a couple weeks ago, and just really rallied the team during Worlds to try to help the teams out and try to help the players out before free agency. So there really was no opportunity to do this early.
I'm sorry, but I don't believe that at all. I don't believe they became aware of some issues a few weeks ago, and that's how long it took for 2 of the 10 LCS teams. These are spots that were bought in initially at 10 million each, passed around, sold, Echo Fox sold to Evil Geniuses for 30 million. These spots are you can't go through the process of exiting LCS and deliberating on it and then executing on that and figuring out who that did not take a few weeks. Bullshit. I don't believe that for a second. I think that this has been happening and people have been talking about this for several months, like up to like the start of the year. There's just no way.
Earlier.
Multi-million-dollar deals, like they had to buy the spots back. You think that you can make a decision that costs, you know, fucking tens of millions potentially to buy 2 spots back? And no. I don't think that happened in a few weeks. I'm sorry.
What are the ramifications of this for the LCS? Because I think a lot of fans are going to hear this, and there's already a lot of doom and gloom out there. You know, what should fans take away from this news?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think this actually strengthens the LCS. We want teams who want to be in esports, who want to be competing in the LCS, who are committed to fielding the best teams that they can. So we feel with this move, we have helped the teams exiting. We have helped the players try to relocate and try to find other teams. And I think next year we're going to have 8 teams in the league who really want to compete.
So why not use...
That was a good answer. I like that. He said it way better than me.
the offseason as an opportunity to try to fill these 2 team slots or to create some sort of promotion opportunity for the teams that compete?
Yeah, there's just not enough time, honestly.
Is there a consideration, if the only constraint right now is time, is there a consideration to expand the league again next year or create some sort of promotion opportunity?
We are looking at a number of different options for the LCS right now. We will spend the next 2 or 3 months figuring out where we're going with the LCS beyond 2024.
And looking at the other regions, should any other teams or other regions be concerned that we could see the number of teams in their leagues go down?
I mean, I think the environment's pretty dynamic right now. I don't want to say never. We are constantly thinking of ways to make our ecosystem better. This is the only move that we're planning to do before year end, but we are constantly looking at different ways that we can make our leagues better.
I think a lot of people are going to be discussing whether or not we saw.
You know, this reminds me that one of the things people criticize LPL about is that there's too many teams. There's too many teams. There's too many matches. I don't even know. Is LPL 16 teams, guys? But they expanded too fast, and I think that's exactly what happened with League. They never should have expanded to the point where they would need to downsize later, in my opinion. They should have kept it at 8 the entire time. But, okay, there's 17 teams. Wait, what? Okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. Everyone in chat says 17. So, I mean, that's a lot of teams, and that's a lot of spots. That's 85 pro players. I'm assuming most of those teams or all those teams have academy spots as well that need to be filled. And as you go lower and lower down the ladder of good players, let's say LPL's top 30 players are fucking elite level, right? They're like up there with like Knight and 369 and Bin, and okay, then we go down another 10 and you get the players that will probably get kind of annihilated by those guys, and then 10 more. Now we're in the 40 to 50 range, annihilated by those guys, and then yeah, now we're down to 85, right? Like that's a fucking lot. Like when you go that far down, it diminishes the quality of the matches, and I think this is something that I've heard a lot of people talk about. I've never actually watched a single game between the two bottom teams in LPL, but I'm imagining it's probably not that fun.
With the LCS, something similar to what we saw in Overwatch League recently, where it was discussed and reported that teams were getting essentially bought back by Activision Blizzard, or they were being paid for this. Is that something you can discuss at this time?
It's a different situation. We simply settled and terminated their partnership agreement. So it's not like we bought back slots that we're going to try to market for other new teams. We just terminated, and now we're just evaluating different options for the future of the LCS. But we are, I should reiterate, we are super committed to North American esports and to the LCS. So the different options we're thinking about are options that are only better for the LCS.
So it doesn't sound like there was a monetary transaction where Riot went to these teams and said, like, hey, we will offer you X amount of dollars if you want to exit the league.
We're not disclosing terms.
Okay. So going into next year, obviously this has format implications. Yeah. The league runs around the idea of 10 teams. Now we have 8. What does this mean for next year?
It's also an evaluation. This happened so fast. The team is thinking about what format's going to be best for this next year. We haven't landed that yet, but I think by the end of this year, we'll know.
So between Academy going not completely away, but I think we saw about 8 teams drop their Academy teams this year. We now have 2 teams in the league that have left as well. So if you look at from like league-supported player positions, we're down about 50% year over year. Are there any plans
Why are you guys saying this guy's super
or
weird?
ways that the league is hoping to support talent, especially in this region, now that there's just, quite frankly, a lot less positions for those players to compete in?
Look, I think there's still a lot of opportunity for new players to find homes, to build a career in North America in the LCS. So the NACL is still continuing. There is a pathway there. So I feel like there's still a lot of opportunity. Yes, there are less teams now, but I think we still have a lot of opportunity to offer new players.
All right.
First off, let me just address my chat saying that he seems reptilian. I don't really get that vibe at all, guys. I think he's just very normal. Maybe you guys just don't like that he is. I mean, you've kind of like pre-biased yourself to think he's like a suit, but I think his answers, except for the one that I called out, have been pretty good. Maybe they're rehearsed, maybe not, but I don't know. Just he seems professional because he has to be. He's a fucking president. I hate his jacket. Okay. I mean, yeah, you could hate his jacket. Yeah, I mean, he operates the business, right? He's the president of esports at Riot Games. I think it's normal that he speaks professionally and so far as I've kind of like liked his answers. But anyways, he just said that.
There.
What did he just say? Oh, there's still a lot of
But
opportunities for academy players. Okay. I feel like I've talked about this a million times. I'm gonna ask you a quick question, guys. If you see a academy player debut in LCS, it's not about the quantity of academy players. I'll tell you that much. Okay? Pays is an academy player in LCK 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. Okay? This was his first year playing pro. That's an academy player in LCK. How much would you fucking pay to watch a Pays equivalent in LCS? Okay, what you want to watch is a good academy player. You don't want to just watch any academy player play in LCS and get fisted. Fuck, I can't. It just feels like shit to say people's individuals' names because it's like I'm just like fucking targeting them. But you can just imagine there are so many people who have been promoted from academy into LCS and you didn't care about them. It was cool to watch them one game and then they got owned. And then you're like, oh, wait, maybe this guy just needs more time in the oven or blah, blah, blah. Okay. What you want to see is you want to see like a JoJo. You want to see a Danny. Okay. You want to see a Buzio. Like it's fun to watch an academy player come in and do well. So what this is going to do is it's going to increase, yes, less chance of it happening, but when it does happen, it'll be the cream of the crop. That's what I think. Okay, you can disagree with me, but that's my opinion. And I think that's what people care about more is just watching the academy players that do get promoted do well.
I think we still have a lot of opportunity to offer.
Why are you guys hating on Buzio? I think Buzio played well.
Is there any hopes that we'll be able to grow back some of the opportunities that have been lost?
Could be. Again, it's a very dynamic situation right now with the ecosystem at large. So we've got a lot of plans in flight, and we'll see where all that lands. Nothing to announce now.
So just a quick edit here because as I was packing up, realized I had forgotten to ask Johnny a question that was very important. But there was a little bit of a rumor that maybe multiple teams had accepted this besides EG and Golden Guardians. Obviously, when talking to you just now, I learned that Golden Guardians sort of initiated this process. But how did things flow from there?
Well, first of all, Golden Guardians didn't initiate the process. We were reacting to a situation with both teams. But the way our partnership agreement works is when we offer one team something like terminating and settling out their partnership agreement, we have to offer it to all teams. We did that. We offered it to all 10 teams.
Wow,
Only
really?
Evil Geniuses and Golden Guardians accepted our offer. The other 8 teams reaffirmed their commitment to the LCS. So half the teams did not take up the offer. Okay. Only the 2 did.
Only the 2. All right. Thank you very much for the clarification.
Yeah, no worries.
Well, I know.
Wow.
I love to have these longer sit-downs with you.
Yeah,
Clearly, we're standing ahead of finals happening.
Did anyone know that? I feel like I've played in LCS since the absolute start. I had no idea that why would a player know about the team agreements signed between the orgs and Riot? But when they offer one team this offer this option to leave, they have to offer all the teams. Wow. And that's very good to hear that everyone had the chance to, and everyone could more than 2 teams could have said they wanted to leave, but all other 8 teams are fully committed.
And so we kind of squeezed this in last minute here, but I am hopeful that we'll be able to chat more as next year comes on the horizon and more things could pop up with the LCS.
Pretty sure we'll be chatting in February, March timeframe.
All right, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for the interview. Obviously, I will have a lot to talk about on this as everything continues, so folks can stay tuned here. But John, anything you want to say to any of the folks out there, especially the LCS folks who are looking at this news and perhaps being concerned about the future of the league?
I will just keep reiterating, we are committed to the LCS. We are committed to North American esports for League of Legends, and we are only trying to make the league stronger and our presence stronger here in North America.
Thank you so much for the interview.
I believe that. Call me a fucking shill or not, but why would Riot pay these 2 teams millions out of their pocket? Just pay them millions to get out, to improve the league. Why the fuck would they do that? They don't have to do that. They can just let LCS die with 10 teams. Why would they pay 2 people? I'm very confident that they didn't just get up, pack their shit, and leave. They got a good amount of the initial buy-in back from Riot, or I don't actually have. I don't even want to guess how much, but it's definitely multi-millions.
For
Right,
everyone
thank
else,
you, Travis.
you can check out the rest of my coverage of all things Worlds, LCS, and more right here on my channel. Thanks so much for watching.
What do you mean, guys? Riot doesn't have to. Fuck it. I'm gonna get Leena. I'll be back. Riot doesn't have to buy their spot back, as far as I know. But let me ask Leena. Leena! I know, but like, let's say like you're a team, right, and you want to leave. Does Riot Riot didn't have to buy those spots back. They only bought the spots back because they wanted to
consolidate the league. Yeah.
They wanted to improve the league, right?
Yeah, they wanted to consolidate the league. I'm just saying. So I used to be a part of the team owners meetings for like years, right, guys? Teams have been wanting to leave. This is not the first time teams have been wanting to leave, and it was always the burden was always on the team to find an approved buyer. Oh, my volume's low. Hello. Okay. What I was saying is this. So I used to be a part of the team owners meetings, and this is not the first time that teams have been wanting to leave. Teams have been wanting to leave for a while now, and the burden was always on the team to find a buyer. And then if you find a buyer, Riot also has the ability to approve or deny the buyer based off background checks. So I think this move is Riot wanting to consolidate the league.
So my question is, if Riot didn't give a shit about LCS, right? Like they don't care. They're like, fuck LCS. We don't care if it dies or not. They would just sit on their ass with 2 teams wanting to leave, and they would make them go find the buyer. They wouldn't come in and use their own money to buy the spot back if they didn't care.
Yeah, because then you can always have. So we actually heard behind the scenes that there was a buyer lined up for the GG spot. Actually, you know what? I can tell you guys a piece of information. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but I don't think anyone's gonna get mad at me. So, there's always I've seen it for a while since I've been at Sentinels, right? Everyone always says, oh, is Sentinels gonna buy a league? Oh, Sentinels should join LCS. Like, that would be super cool. Well, let me tell you guys, there was like a false article saying that Sentinels was buying a spot. Yeah, that was false. But I know for a fact that LCS teams have pitched Rob on multiple times. And what Rob wants to do with his money.
Rob is the CEO.
Oh yeah, Rob is the CEO and the owner. So, yeah, those articles in fact were fake, but people have tried to knock on his door multiple times.
Say it. Who is gonna buy GG spot?
I can't say that. But well, anyway, so the point is, yeah, teams have been looking for buyers. The teams that have been wanting to get out have been looking for buyers for a long time. And if Riot didn't actually give a fuck, there would just be like a revolving door of the next person that wants to buy it, and then maybe in a year or two they realize, oh, actually there's not really any money to be made. I just paid X amount of millions of dollars for this. I'm paying hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars a year for these player salaries. I'm not really making any money here. Then they sell it to the next guy and the next guy. And then I think that's what Riot doesn't want to do. So that's why they wanted to consolidate the league.
Yeah. That's how I got it too. Because, I think some people won't believe what the guy in a suit is saying because he like represents Evil Corpa. But I think if Riot didn't care about LCS and care about the future, they would just say, go fuck yourself and find your own buyer like every other team has before.
Yeah, I think also right now the like economy is not the best for esports and gaming in general. So right now there's not a lot of people that are willing to buy. Although I'm sure some of you guys maybe follow CS:GO. But there's a lot of Saudi money kind of coming in. I'm not really going to get into sports washing. If you either know about it or you don't. But there's a lot of Saudi money trying to come into esports as well. And I'm sure people could have found some type of oil money Saudi buyers and, Riot. I don't want to speak for them, but I imagine, they will have. Oh, there's a lot of people who do want to buy into the league, but they probably wouldn't approve of. Let's just say that.
Oh. Hey, can I have some more food? Yeah. Thanks, babe. All right, my stream's getting carried and I'm getting more food. Man, life is good. Anyways, thank you. Thank you, Leena. I can't right now. I can't right now. Oh shit, man. Oh man. Let me read Licorice's statement on the recent news about GG. Let's hear it. I received the news this morning that GG won't be a part of the LCS next year. Oh no, he was completely blindsided by this. Whew. Okay, so he's not gonna play next year. He's sad about it. Yes. Fucking terrible. Officially looking for team. Oh, baby.
I just wanted to make one more point. I just thought of something. I honestly think that it was not a good decision for Riot to expand from 8 to 10 teams, because if you think about the bottom tier teams, I don't think that they ever made money. There's not, like, people that say there's no money in esports, there's totally money in esports, but it's so top heavy, right? So consolidated at the top. You have Team Liquid having multi-year deals with Alienware, Honda, TSM. We had long-term deals with Logitech, Twitch, GM, HTC, like whatever it is. There's been okay, FTX. Okay, C9 as well. You can list their sponsors. There is totally money to be made, but I don't think that there's enough of a pie or fan base, to be honest. Like, even if Immortals wins the next LCS, right? Like, who's really going to be converting to becoming an Immortals fan? It takes a long time to create fandom and create longevity, and to create like people actually giving a shit about your org, and not just the players. So my entire point is, I think that they overexpanded in the league. The bottom like 3 or 4 or 5 teams probably have never made any money. And, they're kind of starting to realize this. I do think that the top teams can continue to make money. It's really hard coming in for brand new organizations. Like, who's really going to become a fan of Shopify Rebellion? Who wants to buy a Shopify? Oh, I have a funny story. Wait, let me sit.
Okay.
I have a funny story. Guys, there was a year that Riot took over team jerseys. It was like We Are Nations or something started doing the team jerseys, and it was like a part of the category that taken away from teams. I was at TSM at the time. We were pretty pissed off because our jerseys sold a shit ton of money. Like, I don't really think it matters anymore, but we sold a lot of money. Like, when we won 2020, the like lower bracket run, like within like that weekend, we sold 6 figures pretty much. And that's because there's a shit ton of TSM teams. TSM hasn't won in a while. Doublelift came back and people were super happy. Now, that level of income, 6 figures in jersey sales. I'm not going to say exactly how much, but anyway, that level of income is not possible if Immortals does that, right? Like, even if Immortals did the lower bracket run, I don't think that they would have the fandom to support that type of revenue. So my funny story is, within that year that Riot took over the jersey sales, they had to make a report after every split on how many jerseys were sold. And Clutch Gaming was in LCS at the time. Clutch was actually not a bad team. They ended up going to Worlds. That was a team that Vulcan was on, where he kind of like debuted and became like, yeah, he had a really good Worlds run. So Clutch Gaming in one split sold 7 jerseys.
I think it was the staff. The staff must have all
they,
7 staff bought
they
1 jersey
could
each.
not. They could not even get all 5 players, both parents, to buy their jerseys. It that's what I'm saying, right? Like, there is money in esports. It's just so top heavy. The bottom tier teams is so hard for them. And I think, a big part of how they can survive in the long run is the right revenue share. You know what? I don't want to get into all the business of it. That's my funny story. But just so you guys understand how hard it is sometimes for the volunteer teams. Okay, goodbye.
Yo, Clutch Gaming just got completely headshot. I will never forget they did an announcement for, I think they did an announcement for a roster change, and the like announcement was posted on some sort of Texas car dealership shop. It was the most random thing ever. Does anyone know what the fuck I'm talking about? It was like it was like Toyota of Texas. It was just so weird. I don't understand what was going on there. I'm not standing up. I refuse to stand up right now. Okay. Back to Licorice. Yeah, he got fucked. And I feel bad for him. And I think he played really well. He says, I was in the best form of my life this year, and I'll be working hard to maintain that. I'll be practicing playing a lot, so I'll be ready to compete whenever the opportunity arises. Fuck, man. I think how cool it'd be, right? I know this sucks for him, but how cool would it be if a team has Exodia? Thank you, baby. If a team has Exodia, except for Licorice, or sorry, except for top lane, a team is great, right? There's only 8 teams now, less teams. Team has great roster, but their top lane is massively underperforming or gets injured or whatever, and they replace him with Licorice, and they assemble a great roster because of that, right? Because everything's more consolidated, that is like more possible now. And I do think it's a shame that top players like him. This is not going to be the only one, guys. I can think of, off the top of my head, I can think of like 3-4 players who are great, who are definitely top 5 in their role. I guess now we should say top 4 since it's like top 50%. Top 4 in their role in LCS, and they're not going to be playing next split. There's a lot. And maybe in the split afterwards, they'll get a team. And that team will be greatly improved by that. I don't think any team is looking for tops. The whole point of Riot talking about, let me just go back to this, that they said we wanted to make this announcement prior to free agency so that it can allow impacted players the ability to pursue opportunities with other teams or leagues. Every team has essentially verbally committed to their roster by this point, right? There's some exceptions. There's still some negotiations happening, but the official free agency period essentially doesn't mark the start of teams roster building in the offseason. It usually means it's about over. It's done. So there's simply not a spot for him. And fucking sucks, because if we found out this a couple weeks ago, there would have been a spot for him. I think he has every right to be really upset about it.